I started painting last year, the same time last year, and by the summer, I got into my very first art residency, and by November, I was going on it. So, yeah. So, my first residency was in San Francisco. I had so much fun, like, oh my gosh. And that place literally felt like home. Like, man, I miss it so bad. Like, I can't even explain to y'all how much I've had, like, so much fun and how much I miss it. Like, yeah. But for those of you who don't know, a residency is basically when I don't know, kind of like an organization or like someone who wants to like house artists or whatever. You would apply for that, and the artist would fly out and basically live with you or do a program with you or however many days or weeks. My residency was 4 weeks and they covered housing, so I was able to live in San Francisco for 4 weeks for free. I had so much fun. I loved it so much. The only thing we had to pay for was food and transportation, so we caught the bus while we were there, so we didn't have to pay for Ubers or anything like that. Um, and we just had to pay for our flight, and our flight was 200 to get there. And yeah, I had so much fun, y'all. Like, it was such a transformative experience. But to get past that, basically is for artists. So if you are like a painter, you've probably heard about it. You would go there and you would create art. But some residencies you don't have to create art. You're just kind of there for the experience. Um, so yeah, I was there and I created art. I created a lot of paintings, things that I made there, and I think it's my biggest painting yet, honestly. I haven't measured it, but it's big. It's big, but yeah. To kind of summarize it in like 1 to 2 sentences, the painting is about like finding my own permission to kind of create art, if that makes sense. Learning that I don't need kind of outside. I don't even know how to explain it, but yeah, basically all that I need to create art is myself, if that makes sense. All of the inspiration, all of the tools, all of the everything. And I hate when people are like, oh, you don't need expensive art supplies to create art. And it's like, expensive art supplies definitely does help. But they are right, in the sense that like you can create good art. Good art comes from yourself, it doesn't come from any external source. So yeah, my name is Erica McNulty. I go by Softly Elm on all social medias, and I'm an art student. I'm a senior, so I'll be graduating hopefully this spring, but that might not happen because they don't want to give me my classes that I need. So I'll probably be graduating next year when I get the classes that I need. But yeah, let's get into this video. I got all this for $11. Now, I will say that it is not very wide, but it is very long. It is a lot of it. So, when I got this canvas, I got it off Amazon actually, and it's pretty thin, but I think if you want to create like a casual painting, it's actually pretty good. It's actually drop cloth instead of canvas, but they're the same material. Yeah, so if you want to get you some like cheap canvas or a cheap painting surface, I would recommend getting drop cloth. And right here, I'm trying to cut it, but the residency literally didn't have any scissors, so I had to cut it with nail clippers. And the only thing that was difficult about this canvas was that For some reason, it was really hard to rip it downwards, so I was really struggling. You can see that I kind of like messed up trying to rip it. So yeah, I just had to be very patient and like, slowly but surely I was able to rip it, but then it kind of like messes up again. Okay, so now I'm starting to prime the canvas, and this was my first time painting on a wall, which was actually really fun. I think I might incorporate this into like my normal painting routine. The only thing is that I think some of the paint did seep into the like onto the wall, um, just because I had painted on some of the areas that might not have been primed yet. So yeah, and I also spilled a lot of paint, so I will put on a tarp next time. But right now, in this part of the video, I'm like kind of starting the painting. I'm basically doing my underpainting process. Lately, I've been painting with acrylic for my underpainting, but this time I'm doing an oil underpainting, which is something I have not done in a very long time, but it did feel really, really nice to do it. Now, to get more into why I created this painting and the meaning behind it, I know I got like a ton of questions over on YouTube Shorts about who is the girl in the painting and like what like the meaning of it behind it is. And I honestly, it's kind of embarrassing like talking about the meaning of this painting. Like, I don't know, it's just vulnerable in a way. But it's not that I don't want to, it's just this like inner feeling before, and I've never talked about this inner feeling before, so it's definitely a new experience. So I'm not like describing it in the best way, please give me some grace. My art kind of has been for school, and I love creating for school. I love being in art school, I love being in college. It's just that I have not, at least recently, and I don't think like ever, I've never created a painting for myself, mainly because it feels wasteful in a way. Like, if I'm using these materials that I'm going to need in a couple months for school, then it's like I use them all up, and then it's like I have to go buy new ones, and it's like kind of, I don't know, it feels like I'm using resources that I could have used for school. That's one reason. And another reason is just because like for school, like when you paint for school, you get the grade. So there's that, like, I don't know, not to say reward, but you get that out of it. Whereas where I'm painting for myself, it feels like, I don't know, I feel stuck in a way. Like I've never done that before. I think the very last time I painted for myself was when I was at this group home. It was my first foster care placement, and it was actually with a foster family, not a group home. But yeah, so I was placed in this with this foster family, and I was only there for one night, and I painted the view out of the bedroom window, and the woman there was so upset about that. She literally like snatched my notebook, snatched my paint, like she kicked me out of her house. She was so upset because I had painted in her house, and she was like, "Oh, you could have spilled your paint everywhere. Like you could have made a mess. I would have had to rip up all of this carpet and get that all replaced. And you're disobedient. You don't follow rules. Da da da." Mind you, it was my first day. I didn't even have a good grasp on the rules of the house yet, so I didn't even know like what rule I was really breaking. And also, it's not like I was using oil paint or acrylic, which would have been hard to get out of carpet. I was using watercolor. Literally, I was using watercolor, girl. Like, watercolor, if y'all don't know, is not very hard to get out of carpet. It was also in a little, it was like dried, like it was in a tin. It wasn't liquid watercolor. So the only way that I would have spilt it was if it was like already diluted with water, like if I spilled the paint water, and that still would have been easy to get off carpet. I've gotten watercolor off carpet before, and it wasn't a super pigmented watercolor either. It was like a student set. It wasn't like super high quality. It wouldn't have stained the carpet. Anyways, I'm rambling. But yeah, so that was the last time I painted for myself, other than this time. So I was like, I really want to create like a fully fleshed out piece of art for myself, not just like a quick little sketch, not just like, a digital drawing. I want to create a fully fleshed out painting with the knowledge that I have now that I've gained from art school. I feel like it'd be really good. So yeah, that's what I did on this residency. I created me a fully fleshed out painting, and I knew I wanted to do something with a glow. Like, I knew I wanted the figure to be white and glowing. Purple just is my favorite color, and I guess I just gravitated towards it naturally. So yeah, basically, what was I thinking during the painting process? I feel like all this year, ever since I've turned 21, I've been dealing with these thoughts of existentialism. Basically, like, the time on this earth is very limited, and I want to make the most out of my life here. Like, I feel like I spent so much of my time on this earth, like, kind of dreading it. And, I did live like a very not good life before, but now I am grown up and I can make my own decisions. I have somewhat of I don't know how to explain it. I have like some sort of control over my life now, and I can kind of do whatever I want. But because of that, I now have less time than I did before when I was a kid. I'm not to say like I'm getting up there in age, but I'm getting older, and one day I will die. And when I die, there will be nothing. There will be no like flowers. There'll be no more painting. There will be no more good or bad memories. And that kind of like scared me. Like, one day I won't have any time to do the things that I want to do. So I have to do them all now. And I guess in a way, just creating this painting was kind of confronting that. Like, I don't have time to be scared about wasting materials, or, I don't have to have a specific purpose when it comes to painting. I can just paint. So, I was just kind of thinking, like, what do I want to spend my life doing? What do life is too short to do things that I hate doing, and life is too short to stop myself from doing the things that I want to do. Like, I feel like all of my life I've been feeling not creative enough, and I'll go into a separate video about this, but when I was a kid, there was this thing called the tag program, and you could only get in it by being you have to take a test basically, and in the test there's a creativity section, and long story short, I would fail the creativity section every single time. And the most recent time I took it, I actually failed it by like a couple of points, and that just, I don't know why, but it just stuck with me. Like, for some reason, as a kid, it's like, if I want to be an artist, how can I be an artist if I'm constantly failing this creativity test? So yeah, I don't know. I can go into it deeper in another video, but that's not what this video is about. Never felt creative enough, like, as an adolescent. Anything that I created, I felt like had to be based off of someone else's vision. So I would go on Pinterest a lot and paint Pinterest pictures, or I'd go on Instagram or Google. And I know using references, it's literally not a big deal. Everyone uses references. There's nothing wrong with using references. But I felt like if I didn't find the perfect reference or the perfect image to paint, then I couldn't paint at all. I would never try to paint outside of, other people's vision of the world, basically. And that, I feel like, held me back so much. Like, I can't explain how much I feel like that held me back, because it felt like, one, if I didn't have the inspiration to paint, I just wouldn't do it. And two, if I didn't have something to paint. I just wouldn't do it. And I always knew that I had something in me that I wanted to paint, but I just wasn't confident in that inner voice, and I just felt like I just couldn't do it. I don't know why. Oh, yeah. I know why. It's because I was told that I wasn't creative enough as, an adolescent, but it just held me back so much. And this is not to say that I do not use references. I love me a good reference, okay? But I think the difference between now and before was that I would paint references that didn't really mean anything to me and that I just thought were pretty. And hey, nothing wrong with that. Like, I'll still do that for practice and stuff like that. But I think nowadays, when I want to paint something from someone else's picture and I don't feel like taking the picture myself, I want it to mean something to me. I want to create work that relates to me and people like me who have similar backstories and, who went through similar things in their childhood. I want them to also feel seen. But I also want to give voice to the little girl inside of me. I want to be able to see myself in my art. And at least to me, life is too short to constantly be holding myself back because I don't think that my story or my art is aesthetic enough. I want to prevent, one day when I'm old and dying, I want to prevent having regrets. I don't want to look back on my life and see myself holding myself back all of these times because I didn't think that my art was good enough to stand on its own and not need a reference photo, or my story isn't aesthetic enough for me to paint and to post because people wouldn't relate to it and they wouldn't like it or whatever. Just I want to look back on my life and think I did things for me and I had a fun time doing it. I loved it. If people related to it, that was awesome, but I did it for me and that's all that matters. So yeah, for a long time, I did have that fear of people not relating to my story. Even this right now, like, I don't know if someone could relate to being too scared to paint things on their own and, you know, always having to use a reference for something or not feeling creative enough, always like painting from a reference photo exact, but even if no one relates to it, at least like I posted the video and I was scared to post it honestly, but at least at least I didn't stop myself too much. But yeah, painting this painting felt just so freeing. I felt seen in my art, and I knew that no matter what happens, I'll always have myself. Everything, I always had myself. Even when I got my art supplies taken away, I was still there. No one could take that away from me. No matter what happens, I'll always have me. And I don't need external validations or sources of inspiration to create art. Right now, I feel like I'm learning to create for my inner artist and listening to her more often. Thinking to myself, like, I've done so much in this life. I've been through so much in life. Why can't I look within myself for the source of inspiration? Advice I've gotten, especially from professors or just other people, is just, just look at what someone else is doing and paint that. And it's, that's fun and all, but I feel like sometimes I just want to paint what I want to paint, and I know that looking at other artists' work really does help you improve. And I'm not saying that it doesn't, and I'm not saying that I'll never look at another artist's work ever again, but I am saying that being told to look at other people's work constantly kind of held me back in a way. It felt like I always had to it felt like I need whatever someone else did, I had to do it. and I couldn't do my own thing, basically. I was always told to just look at other people's work and to kind of do what they do and, take on like their style or whatever. And I didn't feel like any of the art that I saw really related to me. I didn't feel like any of the work that, my teachers would tell me to look at, it just didn't feel inspirational, maybe. It didn't feel like something I connected with, but I definitely did get some inspiration from other people. I know that was like a lot. Um, so I apologize for the rambling. I'm gonna try to cut out as much as I can, but I guess to summarize what this painting is about, it's about me giving myself permission to create art, me learning that I don't need external validation to create art, and that I don't need to look at other people, what everyone else is doing, and to do that, I can just look at, what I want to create and just create for me and create my art. And there's nothing wrong with looking outward, but I think that the true art comes from within. You don't have to create what everyone else is creating, and you don't have to copy anyone to create good art. And this painting is also about finding the shape of my soul. So yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I added some pictures at the end to show what the painting came out like. So yeah. Also, a lot of people asked me what what the girl's doing in the painting. She's drinking from a cup of water, okay? And I decided, one, because it just felt right. Like, it felt like, I don't know, something that I needed to do. I needed to paint a girl drinking from a cup of water, but you can't really see that because she's super white and glowing and kind of ethereal. But also, too, I felt like this painting was me refilling my own cup and drinking from it. So usually when we talk about refilling our own cup, it's to kind of provide something for someone else and to, like, I don't know, help out other people. You fill your own cup so you can do other things. I feel like this painting was me filling my own cup so I could do more things for me. And yeah, that's what this painting is about. I hope you guys enjoyed, and I'm so sorry if I rambled a lot. And I guess some more information on this piece. I took the reference photo in Alabama, and I also took like the reference photo of the grass in the background and stuff. I took that in Alabama, in this like kind of cornfield place. And the girl drinking from the cup is obviously me. I'm just standing like in a window and I'm silhouette. It's like a silhouette. I just changed that to white. So yeah, I hope y'all enjoyed. If you don't mind, you could like and subscribe, but you don't have to, but it would be great if you did. If I could leave y'all with one thing, it would be to just make sure you fill your own cup, and you are all you need to create art. You don't need anything else.